Hello everyone, good evening. Today is 2nd of January and welcome to Idea, that is in-depth editorial analysis discussion. So guys, in this session, we take best of the editorials from different newspapers such as Indian Express, the Hindu Business Line, Times of India, Hindustan Times. Specifically, we choose those editorials which can be used to complement your knowledge base vis-a-vis the UPSC CSE exam is concerned. In these editorial analysis session, we focus especially on content enrichment that is needed to write meaningful essays as well as answer. Secondly, in this particular session, we learn the art of linking contemporary affairs, current affairs with the static portions of GS papers. Moreover, we also try to take the detailed backgrounds of all the articles before going in their details. And the best thing about this session is the structured explanation, art of exam presentation, and multidimensionality under which we take all the articles. Now guys, let's start with the today's session. And in the today's session, we are going to cover articles from four different newspapers, where we'll cover number one, Indian Express. Secondly, we'll be taking up the Hindustan Times. Then thirdly, the Hindu Business Line will be taken. Then the Times of India. All these four newspapers and the articles will be taken up here. Now guys, the first article, Millet Manifesto. This article will be important for GS paper number 1 and 3, resources and cropping patterns. The second issue is building a legislative roadmap for India, structure and functioning of parliament. This article will be important, GS paper number 2. Third, judicial leg up for ease of doing business. This article will be important for GS 2 and 3, functioning of judiciary plus growth and development. And fourth article, food subsidy for thought. This article will be important for GS paper number 3, government budgeting, because that angle has been taken. Moreover, this food subsidy and the recent changes that government has brought in National Food Security Act, it can also be important for GS paper number 2, issues related to hunger. Okay, so these are guys all the articles that we are going to take up today. Meanwhile, a very good evening to Webhav, Priyanka, Pooja, Fazil, Rahman. Fine, a very good evening to all of you, and now let's start. But before that, I would like to tell you briefly about the Unacademy UPSC CSE GS courses, where you get an opportunity of getting taught by widest range of educators, flexibility to change the course. Fine, you can learn at your own pace, you can learn as per your own comfort level. Limited video lectures are given, so unlimited revisions can be made. Dedicated doubt solving sessions, printed comprehensive notes are given. Okay, and end-to-end preparation. The Unacademy courses take care of all of your, it takes care of all of the stages of the UPSC exam, prelims, mains, personality test. Fine, live mentorship and daily practice of answers. Now you can avail, now you can enroll in resolve, you can enroll in the Unacademy course, and you can avail the new year offer, that is Resolve 2023, where all these courses are being given at a 23% discount. So you can avail the discount, and all the courses are being offered at a deep offers, and this offer will be there till 6th of January. So if you are planning, then you should take advantage of this offer, and to avail these deep discounts, you can use my code Sahil29. Okay, you can use the code Sahil29 to avail the discounts. Now Unacademy have come out with the new batches. First is the Raftar batch, which will be a bilingual batch, a English batch. And the second is, now this batch is going to start from the 5th of the January, and the second one is Arambha batch, which will also be the English bilingual batch, and it is starting from 12th of January. You can enroll in both of these batches. Fine. Now at Unacademy, we also believed that paying capacity should never be a constraint in quality education. So all these courses are available at 0% EMI. Fine. Now taking up the first article. So guys, the first article, as we have discussed, we are going to take from Indian Express, and the article reads Millet Manifesto. Now first of all, I would like to give you a brief background so that we can understand the importance of this particular article, guys. So basically, as we talk about 2023, it is being celebrated as International Year for Millets. Now it is being celebrated as International Year of Millets because in 2018, United Nations General Assembly has adopted the resolution to celebrate it as a International Year of Millets. Now, this proposal was largely based on India's it was based on the India's proposal, because when we talk about India, India is one of the largest producer of millets, and millets today has emerged as the superfoods. When we talk about the millets, guys, in the present times when climate change is becoming a very big problem, when the climate patterns are changing around the world, in this particular time we need climate resilient crops or climate smart crops. So millet by by their very genetic makeup are such hardy, drought resistance and climate smart crops. Now, first of all, let's understand little bit about the millets. So we have seen this thing that 2023 is being celebrated as International Year of Millets, and when we talk about India's role, India is the fifth largest producer of millets in the world, and in this particular capacity we are going to promote these nutrition rich cereals. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the millets, what are the millets? Millets are the cereals which are dense in nutrition, and within the millets large number of cereals find, for example, jowar, ragi, kodo, kutki, kakun, sanwa, china, kutu, chola, bajra. All these cereals will come. Find English name of jawar is sorghum, ragi is finger millet, kodo is kodo millet, little millet. Fine, these all millets come in the group of millets. Now guys, when we talk about the millets, understand this particular thing. There are large nutritional benefits for consuming the millets. For example, number one, the millets, they have more minerals, vitamins, dietary fiber when compared with the traditional cereals that are consumed largely, that is wheat and rice. So compared with the wheat and rice, they have a more nutritional value. It has a better and diversified amino acid profile as well in the millets. Now guys, apart from that, millets, they also contain phytochemicals. Now these phytochemicals have a very positive impact on human health. They reduce the risk of heart diseases. Secondly, when we talk about millet comes on the millet is at lower in terms of the glycemic index. So guys, the food items which are high on the glycemic index, they spikes the blood sugar level. Okay, but millet are lower on the glycemic index. It means that they don't raise blood sugar very rapidly. They don't give the spike in blood sugar level. Okay, so for the people who are who have the conditions of the diabetes, for them the millets can be very beneficial. Then next thing guys, that when we talk about the millets, they have also very much important role, because in terms of iron, zinc, fine, they are better than the wheat. Now when you talk about the rice and the wheat, guys, understand this particular thing, that basically the wheat, they have more gluten. The wheat has, okay, the wheat has more gluten. Okay, and because the wheat has more gluten, it leads to many gastric issues in the people who are gluten intolerant. Okay, but millets don't have that particular kind of an issue. Now when we talk about, guys, the hunger in India, you know this particular thing, and if you don't know, in India, India ranks at 107. India ranks at 107 in global hunger index that was released recently. India, number one, doesn't often is able to give a adequate quantity of food, but even when the quantity of food is being ensured, quality of food is not there. Guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the food, okay, just some basic points I want to tell you, that foods need to have three macronutrients. In these three macronutrients, carbohydrates, protein and fat are there. Apart from that, 23 micronutrients, minerals, micronutrients such as the zinc, iron, they also need to be there. Many number of times, because the people are consuming the same kind of food, they develop the deficiency in these micronutrients, and then the problem of hidden hunger develops. So what is the problem of hidden hunger? It simply means that a person is consuming adequate quantity of food, but because the food is not diversified, certain minerals a person is not getting, and because of that, this hidden hunger develops. So therefore guys, when we talk about the millets, so the millets can be used to solve the problem of the hidden hunger. Is it clear or not? Now, next thing is that the ecologically, environmentally also, millets are sustainable kind of a crops. We have multiple reasons in this particular direction. For example, guys, number one, when we talk about the millets, they are hardy crops. It means they are not that much sensitive to change in weather, change in the moisture, okay, and all such kind of a thing. They are hardy. They can withstand climate extremes. They are drought resistant crops as well. Moreover, these crops, they can grow in short duration. For example, within 70 to 100 days, the millet crop can get matured compared to 100 to 150 days that is needed for rice and wheat. So ecologically and economically, they are beneficial to farmers. Secondly, they have a very less water requirement. For example, the millets, they have the water requirement of 350 to 500 mm, whereas when we talk about particularly the rice, it needs much more water than that. Particularly wheat, even wheat needs much more water than the millets, and then they can grow in the poor soil, hilly terrains. So where irrigation is not a possibility, where the farmers are not able to apply a lot of fertilizers, etc., their millets can grow with a suitable ease. Now, a question comes that when millets are such good, when they are such good and such superfood kind of cereals, why they are lagging? Why they are not getting that much exposure? There are multiple reasons in this particular thing. Now, first of all, guys, understand this particular thing that as we talk about the millets, traditionally millets have been seen as a poor man's food. They have been seen as the poor man's food, and therefore the poor people always has an aspiration that they need to consume or they want to consume more rice and wheat. So rice and wheat were once upon a time the aspirational food for the poor people. Okay. And government, first of all, when the green revolution came in 1960s, majorly focused as how the wheat and rice production can be increased. Moreover, when we talk about, guys, the PDS, public distribution system, TPDS, targeted public distribution system, that was there, and now the National Food Security Act 2013 that had come, we are focusing that the two-thirds of India's population should be provided the wheat and rice majorly. Under National Food Security Act, guys, understand this particular thing. Under National Food Security Act, 75% of the people in rural India, 50% of people in urban India, and on pan India basis, 66% of people are provided subsidized food grains. They are provided 5 kg. They are provided 5 kg food grain per individual. Okay, and this food grain is provided at a highly subsidized price. For example, 3 rupees kg rice, 2 rupees kg wheat, and 1 rupee kg coarse grains are provided. So basically, guys, the focus is more, even more procurement which is done, it is done only of two things, that is the rice and wheat. So people are, government is emphasizing or is giving under NFSA rice and wheat. Largely people need rice and wheat. This is something that has been there. Moreover, at the same time, making rotis, making chapatis is relatively easier with the wheat because of the gluten content that is there. Because of that gluten, the wheat dough, it becomes more cohesive, it becomes more elastic, and therefore it is convenient to roll the rotis out of, or the chapatis out of wheat. Fine, this is something. But the bajra and the jawar, fine, that is not the case in those millets. Now, at the same time, the farmers also don't prefer too much to grow the millets. There are multiple reasons in this particular direction. Number one, the productivity of these crops is not that much as compared with the rice and wheat. We know this particular thing, that during the green revolution, the high yielding variety seeds were developed, high yielding variety seeds were developed, but the focus was largely on rice and wheat. So only for the rice and wheat majorly the high yielding variety seeds were there, and therefore the yield per hectare is high in rice and wheat. For example, when we talk about the per hectare yield, it is around 1 ton for jowar, 1.5 ton for bajra, 1.7 ton for ragi, but at the same time it is around 3.5 tons for wheat, it is around 4 tons for paddy. So therefore farmer economically for the farmer, growing rice and wheat makes more sense because of higher productivity. Secondly, when we talk about the government through canal networks, through the schemes such as the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, irrigation facilities have been provided, and because of that particular thing, the crops which need more water, the cash crops such as the sugar cane, they can be grown. So therefore farmers are not interested in growing the millets. Then next issue guys that comes here is that though government has tried to solve this particular problems also by multiple number of interventions. For example, Indian Agricultural Research Institute has developed PUSA 1201. Just a minute, let me change the pen. It has developed PUSA 1201. What it is? It is a hybrid bajra, and this hybrid bajra can give higher yields. For example, it can give around 2.8 ton yields. Fine, it is an average gain, and it has a potential to give around 4.5 tons of yield per hectare. So now you compare this particular thing with the wheat and rice. So right now the wheat has the basically the average yield for wheat is 3.5 ton, and for paddy it is 4 ton. But now even in the bajra, hybrid bajra, such kind of productivity can be gained. So this is a positive step that has been taken up. Then next thing is that because these millets, they take less day to mature, the PUSA 1201 also further leverages this particular aspect. It matures in around 78 to 80 days. It is resistant to downy, mildew and blast. Now they are both the fungal diseases which impacts the millets and other crops as well, but they are resistant with that. The next thing is that basically the grains, fine, they have higher protein, okay, they have higher iron, they have higher zinc, okay. So the numbers, you don't need to go and see the exact numbers of the zinc, iron, etc., but they have more of nutritional content, so therefore they are more desirable. Sorry, so these are the features of the PUSA 1201 that has been developed. Now next reason guys that comes here, that why farmers are not preferring the millets, it is because the government has not focused that has not emphasized on procuring the millets more at MSP, minimum support price. So when we talk about the minimum support price, it is a guaranteed assurance that is given to the farmers. Every year the MSP is announced, okay, for 23 crops MSP is announced, and at this particular price government will procure whatever you have to sell. But for the millets, okay, the bajra and all such kind of millets, the focus is not that much on MSP. Under MSP largely the paddy and wheat are being procured, so farmers have an assurance on that particular front. Is it clear or not? Then these crops, that is the millets, they have also been referred to as the orphan crops. Orphan crops means that the farmers are not growing them too much, so therefore the land area under millets have also come down successively. For example, here you can see that here we can see that the total production of millets was around 21.32 million ton around 2003 and 2004. But coming to 2021-2022, we see that it has reduced from 21 million ton to around 15.92 million ton. So we have seen this thing that over the years opposite has happened in case of wheat and rice. More areas have come, their productions have increased, but it's not the case with respect to millets. Okay, fine, they are just now being grown in only the areas, fine, largely in the marginal areas which are prone to water stress. So where moisture stress will be there they are being grown. Why? Because they are the hardy crops. Okay, so here we can see between 2003 to 4 to 21-22, India's millet output has actually fallen from 21.32 million ton to just 15.92 million ton. And within the millets, 98% of the millets, they are only three type of cereals. For example, bajra, jowar and ragi. Bajra, jowar and ragi, these three millets constitute 98% of production. Now guys, when we talk about the millets, you can see that all these millets we have, okay, but 98% is of only these three. Now what is the solution? So guys, actually a very good solution has been provided, an excellent solution has been provided. Now according to the article, it is being said that when we talk about India, around 26.52 crore children are right now enrolled in the schools. Find around they are enrolled in 4.89 lakh schools that we have. Okay, so these many children are enrolled in the school. Then apart from that, we have 7.7 crore children and 1.8 crore pregnant mother, they are which are being provided supplementary nutrition under the Anganwadi care centers. Okay, so these big chunk, largely we are focusing on two type of people: number one, children, and number two, pregnant and lactating women. So to these people, these millets can be provided. So it has been provided that these people can be a huge market for millets. Now, it has been provided that, guys, at the same time, this same group of people, that is the pregnant women, lactating women and children, they are more prone to hidden hunger. They are more prone to the malnutrition. Now, in this particular capacity, when we talk about these crops, that is the millets, they have high iron and zinc, and at the same time, this group has the iron and zinc deficiency. Particularly when we talk about the anemia, anemia is particularly high in the women in India. Fine. So in India, iron and zinc deficiency is there. It is leading to anemia. It is leading to stunting in children. It is also leading to impaired cognitive performance. Okay, cognitive performance means mental performance. Mental development is not happening. So therefore, in the children, if they are providing the adequate millets by that particular thing, a lot of positive dividends, positive results can be gained. Now, every school and every beneficiary can be provided at least one hot meal which is based on the locally sourced millet. For example, bajra can be given, jowar, ragi, kodo, kutki. Fine, all these millets, whatever is available in the nearby region, it can be given. And apart with that, 150 milliliter of glass of milk and one egg can be given. And largely the hidden hunger, malnutrition problems that's there, they will be tackled. The next thing, it's being provided that, guys, by this particular thing, also the demand for millets will increase, and as the demand for millet will increase, the farmers will grow. That will also bring the crop diversification. Right now, guys, large reliance is on the wheat and rice, which is leading to its own problem. Okay, moreover, it can also create the demand for millions of the small millet, dairy and poultry farms, because if the eggs will be given, the milk will be given, also they will be getting livelihood opportunities. Now, right now, government is running multiple schemes which can be used here. So, the most important scheme under which the millets can be given to people are: number one, Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman, PM Poshan, and the second is Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. So, through these particular two schemes, the government can provide the millets to the children and pregnant and lactating women. So this is something that can be done. Now, moreover, government, the article is also talking about this particular thing, that when we talk about the PDS can continue in providing the rice and wheat that it is providing, which is even more suitable for nationwide procurement, stocking, marketing. Because, guys, when we talk about the food security of India, we need to stock the crops in large number, and their wheat and rice is more suitable. So MSP should focus on that only. But there can also be a decentralized procurement of millets, decentralized procurement of millet at the level of districts, at the level of the state. The millets can be procured, and they should be procured at some minimum support price. Now, that particular thing will motivate, will incentivize the farmers to grow these millets as well. Now, it is being provided that when we talk about these millets, they can be given as ready to eat food, okay, such as the cookies, laddus, muruku, nutrition bars, extruded snacks. Fine. For example, the Maggies, Kurkures, Cheetos, etc. These are certain munches. People, they munch on them as a kind of a snack, as a kind of a light breakfast. So these things should be replaced by the uh, millet based products. Okay, now in this particular direction, it has been provided that what center government's responsibility should be. Center government should fund the states if the states are trying to procure the millets in a decentralized manner. So the schools should be provided the funding support. The states should be provided funding support in order to procure these millets, and these millets then can be given in schools and Anganwadi centers. Already we have example of Odisha. So what Odisha had done, Odisha has already started a dedicated millet mission, and in this dedicated millet mission, Odisha is procuring ragi since 2021-22, and that ragi is being given. Okay, in the majorly the schools. Then next is Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana. Okay, they can do the same thing in bajra because the bajra is grown in substantial numbers in these states. Okay, Maharashtra may do this similar kind of a decentralized procurement and can distribute them through the schools, and they can do it for jawar. Karnataka can do it for ragi. Madhya Pradesh can do it for kodo or kutki because these are the states where large production of these millets happen. Moreover, the states can also add milk, eggs. Some states are doing it also. For example, Karnataka and Gujarat are giving milk, and Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana are giving eggs in their midday meal schemes. This is something that can be focused. Now, guys, it is being provided that we need to ensure that efforts from multiple fronts is coming. Number one, centralized funding needs to be there. Decentralized procurement needs to be there. For central funding, government of union government will play an important role, and for decentralized procurement, the state governments will play an important role. And what Food Corporation of India has achieved for rice and wheat, so Food Corporation of India has played a very important role in procuring the rice and wheat and providing the rice and wheat through the public distribution systems. So on that success, we now need to focus on millet. Fine. So that is all about this particular article, guys. And now we'll be moving to next article. Okay. Building a legislative roadmap for India. Now this particular article is taken from Hindustan Times, and the article will be important for GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2. Now let's take this particular article. Building a legislative roadmap for India. Now, guys, when we talk about this year, 2023 is going to be an important year, particularly because of a symbolism. So, Parliament will be shifted to a new building. So, you might be knowing about the Central Vista project that government has already started. So, as a part of a Central Vista project, a new Parliament building will be completed, and the Parliament will be shifting there. Now, this transition that is happening, it should not only be a physical transition, but it can also be an opportunity to bring a structural transition in legislative processes and parliamentary processes in India. Now, understand this particular thing, that as we talk about the parliament, it makes rules, okay, it plays a deliberative role, okay, and all such kind of roles are there. Now, first of all, when we talk about the parliament, most important role of parliament is to make the laws. And under our constitution, it has been provided that legislature, executive both have power to make law. For example, parliament, you know this particular thing, that under the 7th schedule, union list is there. Under union list, directly parliament can make the law. On the concurrent list also, on certain subjects, the parliament can make the law. Sometimes under exceptional and special circumstances, even on state law, parliament can make the law. But parliament in capacity of legislature is making a law. Executive also have the power to make some temporary laws. You know this particular thing, that basically the government or the executive can pass ordinances under article number 123. Okay, so they can pass it. For example, when 2020 farm laws were initially passed, they were brought as an ordinance in 2020. So legislative and executive both have the power to make the law. But guys, often we found this particular thing, that executive had tried to use or abuse that particular power. For example, we see this particular thing, that in last 20 years, on an average, 8 ordinances have been promulgated every year. And as ordinances are being passed by the executive, what is happening? It is defeating actually the theory of separation of powers. So when we talk about theory of separation of power, it has specifically been provided that legislature's role is to pass law, executive's role is to execute that particular law, and judiciary's role is to focus on dispute resolution, is to ensure that both these two arms are doing their work properly. But when executive is making a law, it is going in the domain of legislature. So therefore, this power, article 123 that was given, it was expected that only in the extreme circumstances it will be used. But we see that in last 20 years, on an average, 8 ordinances are being passed. Fine, this is abuse of power that has happened. Now, regular use undermines the legislature's role in the law making. But 2022 has been an exceptional year. Why it is an exceptional year? Because guys, not even a single ordinance got promulgated in 2022, and this is something that is happening around after a half of a century. Last time when not even a single ordinance was promulgated was in 1963, and now in 2022 again not a single ordinance has got promulgated. Now, the next thing, guys, that is coming here is that basically this is something. So the 2022 tradition that was taken up, we expect that government will continue the same tradition and will move in this particular same spirit. The next issue that comes in parliamentary processes is the scrutiny of the government legislation. Now, when we talk about the law often, when a bill is being drafted, bill has certain loopholes. Now, the loopholes of the bill are to be reduced, and for this particular thing, parliamentary committees play a very important role. They scrutinize the bill before they are brought, and they suggest certain amendments, certain changes. But government is now not very much ready to send the bill for scrutiny. They are hesitant to refer the bill to the parliamentary standing committees. Often what happens, we have seen this particular thing, that the government in the power, it requests the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha presiding officer, the speaker and the chairman, that they use their discretion and don't refer that particular bill for the detailed examination of parliament's departmentally related standing committees. So they are not sending the bill to the DRCs, which have a specialized role, which have a specialized expertise. Okay, but here we say that certain good things have also happened. For example, Parliamentary Committee on IT, Information Technology, had started to draft the Indian Telecommunication Bill. Okay, now the Indian Telecommunication Bill has been put in the public domain. The comments of the general public are being asked. At the same time, we also see the example of Data Protection Bill. So, Data Protection Bill, Data Protection Bill, and Indian Telecommunication Bill. All these, both of these bills, both of these bills have been placed in public domain, and public comments are being asked. And basically, Union Telecom Minister has provided this thing, that this is an example of reflective, reflective reflection of collaborative spirit. Okay, cooperative federalism, or this is a spirit where the people are being, their wish, the people's participation, people's deliberation are being given importance. This should continue. Okay, so this is something that has come. But guys, what we have discussed here, it has happened in this particular matter. Usually such thing is not happening. Is it clear or not? So parliament, the government, in terms of the parliamentary functioning, needs to ensure that such deliberation, participation of public is happening as a regular occurrence. Then the third issue. So guys, we have seen three issues. Number one, ordinance issue, but 2022 has been a good year. Second issue, we have seen the deliberative role, parliamentary standing committees recommendations are not being taken, but now the change has coming there also, where public participation is focused. Now third issue that we are talking about is the parliamentary settings. Now first of all, we have seen that over the years, productive days of parliament are going down. For example, 14th Lok Sabha, okay, here the productive days were 300 plus. But from there, the productive days of the parliament are coming down. And in 17th Lok Sabha, they are notoriously down. Is it clear or not? So it has compared very badly compared to its predecessors. Okay. So we need to focus on this particular direction. Then the next article, the next issue that is coming here, the fourth issue, the fourth problematic issue that we have is that position of deputy speaker has not been filled for more than 3.5 years that have happened. Now, first of all, when we talk about deputy speaker plays a very important role in the capacity of a speaker when speaker is absent from the house. Okay. Now, the constitution very clearly provides that the election of deputy speaker should happen, or deputy speaker should be appointed as soon as possible. But now more than 3.5 years have happened, but deputy speaker is not appointed. Now this is the longest since independence that the office of deputy speaker is lying vacant. Now we see this particular thing, that in 12th Lok Sabha 1998-1999, the position of deputy speaker was vacant for 269 days, but it has not happened beyond that. And now for 3.5 years, the deputy speaker's office is lying vacant. Is it clear or not? Now, moving on, the next issue that comes here is that, guys, that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha's functioning has also met with a lot of problems. For example, recently we have seen this particular thing, that the winter session of parliament was convened, but that winter session was cut short by a week. And this is the eighth successive time that a session has been adjourned ahead of the schedule. Sessions are not completing its full length. Now, in the pandemic, it looks acceptable that because of the pandemic, many of the sessions got curtailed, many of the sessions got cut down. But now, there was no such kind of a imminent threat of pandemic. But still, we found this particular thing that the political parties unanimously had provided that the session can be cut down, which is not acceptable in a healthy democracy. Then next issue that comes here. So guys, up till now we have discussed four, five issue, and this is a sixth issue. Now sixth issue that comes here is that member of parliament are not doing their duties diligently. First of all, MPs attendance in parliamentary committees have been specifically very much low. Even in certain of the parliamentary processes, the minimum quorum, the minimum number of members that needs to be there to start a process, minimum quorum is not being reached, and the parliamentary staff has to find MPs to meet this minimum quorum. So MPs are not taking their duties seriously. Fine. Then the next issue that comes in this particular direction, guys, that seventh issue, that we found this particular thing that now many of the bills are just being examined by the general committee, the parliamentary committee, which have specialization, which have expertise in certain matters. They are not being given the bill to discuss. So therefore, these are the seven biggest issues which are there in the present parliamentary functioning, and these seven issues are needed to be addressed as early as possible. Before making a physical transition, we need to make a procedural transition into the parliament's functionings. So number one, government should prioritize the parliamentary plan, should have a clear agenda and calendar, and it should follow that agenda and calendar. The next thing is that basically, guys, the executive and legislature changes now. Basically, we need to bring the suitable executive and legislative changes so that even the world countries can learn a meaningful lesson from India. Fine. So, guys, I hope that it is clear, and I can see one question here. Oh, fine. First of all, good evening to you all. Something sociological, Akashdeep, Sandeep, Shubdeep. Okay, so there's one question, sir. Please give some background for this article. Little difficult to understand. Yesterday I met with an accident, so my mind is processing late because of head injury. Yes, dear. Can you exactly tell which article you want to discuss? Which article specifically you are talking about? Yes, dear. Can you tell which particular article you are talking about? Are you talking about this parliamentary issue article or millets article? Okay. Yes, dear. Which article you are talking about? Please tell. Okay. So, parliamentary, dear, this article is just talking about certain issues in parliamentary processes that are there which need to be addressed as soon as possible. So, in this particular article, we have broadly seen seven issues which needs to be taken up by the parliament. For example, lawmaking power of the parliament is being used by the ordinance, abused by the ordinances. Then we saw this particular thing that the bills are not being referred to the departmental related standing committees. Then the third, guys, issue that we have seen, that the parliamentary sittings have come down. Fourth issue that we have seen, that the position of deputy speaker is not being is for deputy speaker's position is lying vacant. Then the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha's functioning has come down, their sessions are being cut down. Sixth issue, we have seen that the attendance of MPs have not been there into the committees. Fine. So these are all issues, that seven issues again, that most of the bills are being examined by general committee. Parliamentary committees, specialized committees are not being given most of the importance. So these are the major issues which needed to be addressed in order to ensure the vibrant Indian democracy. Okay, that is all about it. Now, guys, taking the next article from Business Line newspaper, and the article reads, Judicial leg up for ease of doing business. Now, this particular article, guys, will be very important for the judicial reforms and how judicial reforms are leading to ease of doing business. GS paper number 3. That linkage has been made in this particular article. Now, basically, guys, it has been provided that when we talk about India, we are focusing on bringing ease of doing business, and by bringing ease of doing business, we are trying to ensure the revival of manufacturing sector. We are trying to ensure that the service sector receives the robust FDI and should contribute in the GDP. So ease of doing business is an important parameter. Now it has been provided that ease of doing business of any country also depends on the judicial system and the efficiency, effectiveness of the judicial system of that particular country. Now when we talk about India, guys, in India there are a lot of issues in the judiciary. Judicial processes are very slow. So in India, we find this particular thing that the judicial processes are very much slow. Judicial infrastructure is lacking. Many number of times the judges number are very much less. Okay, now first of all, guys, some of the major challenges that we have in judiciary, we'll see these challenges and then we'll see that how these challenges are leading to, they are impacting ease of doing business. Number one, rising pendency rate is there. As of now, more than around 4.5 crore cases are pending across the judiciary. Second thing, there is a shortage of staff and essential resources. Fine, there are the vacancies into the judges, the judicial officers are missing. Okay, essential resources, basic infrastructure they are not having. The next thing that comes here is that there is a lack of digital ecosystem. Now we saw this particular thing that with the coming of pandemic, virtual hearings, e-hearings, they have increased, but that digital ecosystem is not there. Underutilization of funds which have been given for judicial infrastructure, fine, they are not being utilized. Now, first of all, how ease of doing will be impacted if judiciary will not be swift, if judiciary will not be fast. First of all, guys, if there will be any commercial disputes or any other kind of disputes of business entities, those disputes will not be resolved in quick time. So quick resolution of disputes will be hampered, and if quick resolution of disputes will be hampered, at the end of the day, ease of doing business will get impacted. Enforceability of contract, okay, is very important for the viability of business, and if any party violates the contract, then the business can approach the judiciary. But if judicial processes are very much low, then the faith of the businesses, it goes down. It deters the investment. So if in any country judicial processes are not very much fast, the basically FDI will not come. Foreign investors will not be bringing the investment. Okay, it will delay the project. If a dispute has happened, fine, the projects get delayed. It makes it harder to collect the taxes. Fine. For example, if tax avoidance is done by a corporate, let's say corporate earned 100 crore rupees profit, but they reported only 20 crore rupees of profit, and this 80 crore rupees they have not been reported. Now this particular matter will go into the court, and if this particular matter will hang for a long time, obviously the government's tax collection will be impacted. It stresses out the taxpayers also. It drives up the legal fees. Now guys, how taxpayers will be stressed out? Understand this thing that if the tax is not being collected in the due time, if judicial processes are very much tardy, they are not very much swift, and tax collection is impacted, at the end of the day, taxpayers will be impacted. Okay. Now, when we talk about the pandemic, during pandemic, we saw this particular thing that many of the courts turned to virtual hearings. Virtual hearings, e-courts became a major dominant theme in the times of the pandemic. But guys, we found that large number of courtrooms, they don't have basic infrastructure to work in an online manner, to work as a e-court. Okay, because of this particular thing, we have found this particular thing that there is a post-pandemic docket explosion. Number of cases have increased. Now if I give you a little bit number here, in Supreme Court 71,000 cases are pending. In High Court around 60 lakh. In High Court around 60 lakh cases are pending. Okay, and when we talk about the lower courts, in lower courts around 4.2 crore cases are pending. 4.2 crore cases are pending in the lower court. Now basic resources to function as a virtual court, to function as an e-court, or to function as a physical court, basic resources that are needed, they are missing. For example, just 27% of courtrooms, they have a computer for video conferencing. So it means that 3/4 of the courts don't even have the basic infrastructure. Then 46% of the cases courtrooms, they don't have purified drinking water facilities. This is a basic need. This is a basic need. Then 5% of the courtrooms had basic medical facilities, and 95% of the courtrooms don't even have basic medical facilities. Now, in the same direction, guys, there is also one more issue that is a problematic or the area of concern. First of all, guys, when we talk about government, government is the biggest litigant in our country. Now, what is a government? How, what it means that the government is the biggest litigant? Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that suppose you have government, government is imposing cases on people. Let's say you have not paid your dues, a case will be filed on you. Okay, you have taken the electricity connection, but you have did not paid your bill, a case will be filed on you. So government being the biggest litigant means that the government is the party which has filed the cases on its own citizens, and the largest chunk of pending cases that are there, these are the government litigations that we have. Now, Chief Justice of India had specifically provided that the executive arm of the state could tackle the piling litigation by dealing efficiently with the department and PSU related disputes. Many of the department related disputes, many of the PSU related disputes, government can settle it out of the court, but rather than settling it out of the court, government is bringing these cases in the courts, it is filing the cases. So government also had increased the burden. Then basic human resource that we need for judiciary, it is missing. There are very much less number of judges. For example, it has been said that there are just 21 judges per million people. Recommended norm is 5070 judges. Okay, so recommended 5070 judges, but we have just 21 judges per million. Okay, obviously there will be the backlogs that will happen. The next thing that coming in this particular direction is that, guys, even in 1987, the law commission at that point of a time had recommended 107 judges per million by 2000. Okay, but up till now we have not achieved this particular target. It has been provided that we have just 21 judges, at least 107 we have not been able to reach. Just a minute. Fine. The next issue that comes here is that, guys, the appointment of judicial officers has increased only by 16% in the 6 years. Appointment has increased only by 16% in the 6 years, but the case pendency, fine, it has increased by 55%. Okay, so understand this thing, that the capacity is not there in the courts because the human resource is missing. At the same time, it is also being provided that number one sanctioned posts are very much less, and even these sanctioned posts are not being filled. They are the vacancies in these sanctioned posts. So from 2010 to 2020, the vacancies in judiciary have increased from 18% to around 21%, and particularly in the High Court, this vacancy goes to nearly 30%. So number one, the sanctioned posts are less, and even then these sanctioned posts are not being fulfilled. There are high vacancies. Now, in order to enhance the judicial efficacy, there are certain recommendations that have been given by the judiciary itself. Now, we are going to see these particular recommendations one by one. So, in one of a judgment, that is the Imtiaz Azad versus State of Uttar Pradesh, Supreme Court recommended that we need to create an umbrella national organization. We need to create an umbrella national organization which will take the task of alleviating the shortfall in Indian judicial infrastructure. By the way, guys, just one thing I want to tell you here, that this entire PDF that I am discussing here, it is available on the Sahil Saini Unacademy Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. You can go to Telegram and can download it from there. So basically, Supreme Court had recommended that we need to bring an Indian an organization which will specifically focus on judicial infrastructure, will build the courtrooms, will ensure that the basic infrastructure is there in the courtrooms. Okay. The next recommendation is of National Judicial Infrastructure Authority of India, NJIAI. Now, even the Chief Justice of India, fine, the former CJI, in fact, has recommended that National Judicial Infrastructure Authority of India needs to be developed. In this particular direction, guys, Chief Justice has proposed that it will take care of all the infrastructural needs. Okay. Now, this proposal of creating the a National Judicial Infrastructure Authority of India, this proposal reached to Supreme Court, sorry, the state governments, but state government had not replied anything on this particular direction. Now, further, to develop the infrastructure, there are other reforms, other suggestions that can also be given. Now, guys, but point is that problem is that the implementation of these particular suggestions. Now, already government is running certain schemes also. For example, government is implementing the centrally sponsored scheme to develop infrastructure facilities in the courts. And under this centrally sponsored scheme to develop the infrastructure, 8,700 crore rupees have been given to the states and union territories. And now it has been provided that this centrally sponsored scheme for developing the infrastructure, it will be extended for next 5 years, and till 2026 9,000 crore rupees additionally have also been allocated to this particular scheme. But the point is again the implementation problem. If you remember, we have seen in the first slide that even there is the problem of underutilization of these funds. So because of these particular issues, the problem is coming. Now, what can be the way forward in this particular direction? So Prime Minister, guys, multiple number of times have focused on enhancing the ease of justice. It has been said that ease of justice is directly linked with the ease of doing business. So ease of justice needs to be enhanced. In this particular direction, to enhance ease of justice, we need to have the basic judicial infrastructure. We need to have the judicial human resource, and by that particular thing, the backlogs, delays, pending cases can be tackled. Okay. This is, guys, all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood this particular article, and with this we will now be going to the next article. Till then, guys, if you have any doubt, you may ask your doubts. Yes, guys, any doubt? If you have, you may ask. Okay. Now, food subsidy for thought. This article is taken from the Times of India, and this particular article will be talking that how government food subsidy bill is increasing, and how recently government's step which the government has taken to bring down the food subsidy bill, whether they will be effective or whether they will not be effective. Let's take this particular article. Now, first of all, guys, I just want to give you some of background information. So, during the COVID-19 pandemic, government came with Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. And under this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, it was provided that additional 5 kg food grains will be provided to 80 crore people. Apart from the food that is being given under the National Food Security Act. So under National Food Security Act, the priority households which are covered, these priority households are provided 5 kg food grain. They are provided 5 kg food grain per person. Apart from that, 5 kg extra. Apart from that, 5 kg extra will be given under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. That was going on. Recently, government had said that this extra 5 kg that was given under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, it will be merged under the National Food Security Act. What it means? Simply, guys, earlier, the food that government was giving under the National Food Security Act, it was given at a subsidized price of rupees 3, rupees 2 and rupees 1. Now government has provided this particular thing that now what will happen, government will give food, fine, additional 5 kg will not be given, just 5 kg will be given, but government will not charge even this 3 rupees, 2 rupees, 1 rupees. Okay, so highly subsidized food grains, not subsidized, sorry, free of cost food grains will be given, and for 1 year it will be given. Now, it has been provided that why government brought this particular thing, or in a way, why government now suspended the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, where additional 5 kg was being given. Because during the pandemic, government's fiscal deficit has increased a lot as government gave this particular food. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Today, it is being provided that the fiscal deficit is one of the largest. Today, the center and the state's fiscal deficit is fine. Now, guys, understand this thing, that there are government receipts. So there are government receipts on one hand, and on another hand, there are the government expenditures. So when government expenditure is more than the receipt, it develops a fiscal deficit. Today fiscal deficit is around 10% and this is highest among the G20 countries. And the deficit of central government alone is around 8.4% of the GDP. Why such high fiscal deficit? It is because of the high food subsidy bill that has been there. And this fiscal deficit is not sustainable. So therefore, the economists have urged the union government as well as union budget that we need to focus on fiscal consolidation. We need to focus on fiscal consolidation. Fiscal deficit is needed to be brought down over a medium term. So therefore, Pradhan Mantri Garib now, and as we talk about Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, we saw this particular thing that this particular scheme got started in 2020, and the scheme April 2020 it got started, and it has to run from April to November 2020. Just a minute. It has to operate from April to November 2020, but continuously it has been extended till then. It continued till December 2022. So it got extended for nearly 3 years, little bit less than the 3 years. Because of that particular thing, the fiscal deficit has increased. Okay. Now the government has announced that it will be discontinued. Okay, and for 1 year the completely free of cost food grains will be given. Now on the face of it, guys, it looks that this particular thing will achieve two objectives. Number one, it will help the poor. How? This new announcement will help the poor, because earlier poor people have to give at least 3 rupees, 2 rupees, 1 rupees for the food grains. Now they will get free of cost food grains. They'll get free of cost food grains. So this will help them. Secondly, it will reduce the subsidy burden as well. Okay, it is being seen, but this particular issue will not be addressed. Guys, it has been provided that, understand, earlier in the past what has happened, if the government wanted to reduce budget deficit, if government wanted to reduce the food subsidy bill, what it can do? Okay, government could reduce the budget deficit by raising the price. Okay, the minimum price that the government is charging, it could raise that particular price, and by that it could have brought down the food subsidy bill. But now that cannot happen. Why? Because you are providing, giving free of cost food subsidy bill. So the fiscal burden, the fiscal deficit will not come to the pre-pandemic level. Is it clear or not? Then next thing, guys, that is coming here is that it will also be impacting the overall agricultural policy of government. How it will impact the overall agricultural policy of government? Now understand this particular thing. Now please focus on this particular cycle. Suppose this is a farmer. This is a farmer. Now what happens? Farmer will grow food. This food will be procured by the government on minimum support price, and the food that government has procured, this particular food government will give now to the people under, this food will be given by government to the people under National Food Security Act, National Food Security Act, through the PDS, public distribution system, the food will be given. Now basically every year the farmer make a demand that the MSP, the minimum price at which the government is procuring, it should be increased. It should be increased. Now if government increases the MSP, its budget will further get squeezed. Why? Because under PDS you need to give a free. Under PDS, because understand this particular thing, that under PDS the food is to be given free. Okay, and here if we increase the price, the differential will become huge. Okay, so therefore it will impact the government of India at the end of the day. However, if it does not raises the MSP, farmers, rather than selling the food to the government, will sell the food in the open market. Okay, or if the open market is not taking that particular food, what will happen? Government's income will go down. The government's income will go down. Now if government will don't give the food to government of India, how government will give then the food to the beneficiaries under National Food Security Act? How government will give free food if they will not sell to the government of India? Second thing is that, guys, that particular thing will bring the shortage. That particular thing will bring the shortage. So you need to understand this particular thing, that the new program, just a minute, the new program where 80 crore beneficiaries or more than half of the population is being impacted, where the government is giving the free food. So we need to see this particular thing, that is it necessary to provide free food grains tomorrow to people who could afford to pay for them yesterday? So yesterday people were paying, but now we are giving them free. So when the people were paying yesterday, why we are making it free tomorrow? When country is becoming more prosperous every day, so country is becoming more prosperous every day, and we are making the foods free of cost, which might not be sustainable in the long run. The article is talking about that now as the new budget will be brought, so in the budget government needs to focus that how in the long term, government needs to focus that how in the long term they are going to bring down their fiscal deficit, and majority of fiscal deficit comes from the food subsidy bill. So how the food subsidy bill will be reduced, and government should focus that such kind of an actions should not be carried under the populism, as it will have wide repercussions for the government. Okay, so this is guys all about this particular article. Fine guys, I hope that you have understood it. So this is all about it. Fine. uh, with this we have come to an end to the today's session, guys. If you have any doubt, you may ask your doubt. Yes guys, any doubt here? If you have any doubt, you may ask your doubt. Yes guys, any doubt, you may ask your doubt, please, if you have any. Okay guys, so fine, you can download this PDF from the Telegram channel, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper editorial analysis discussion. That is all for today guys. Thank you so much.